Hello and welcome to a special bonus talk edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia on LaSalle TV. I'm your host, Josh Abrams, and I have a great panel on hand with me today to talk some Sixers. I have Tyler Small, Dave Roberts, and making his STP debut is John Freeman. Guys, thank you for coming on. We're going to talk about the Sixers, and you would think I would have thought personally with the Sixers that it would get better in terms of the losses, the heartbreak. But no, that's not the case at all. You look at the last two games for the Sixers, they've lost. The first one was an absolute heartbreaker, overtime. The Blake Griffin show, he goes off for 50 points. He was literally one of the only reasons why the Pistons won that game. And then the next day, they go into Milwaukee. They start off strong. The first 12 minutes belonged to us. And then all of a sudden, things just collapsed. We lose 123-108, and going off of these last couple of games, what's the takeaway, guys? What are your guys' personal takeaways?
We're both upset, so I don't really know.
I don't know. We're all upset.
All right, it comes down to it. I don't know. I think I'm going to make a rule for myself. I'm going to stop saying we need a scorer because it's clear as day that we need a scorer. I can't keep saying it. It's ridiculous.
And we can. We can do it.
We can
score.
The
lineup's there for it.
Yeah, it's just upsetting to see the guys who can score not to be able to put the ball in the hoop, and it's aggravating. I get migraines watching the game. It's very annoying. It just irks me.
Yeah, and anybody can jump in.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And even going on the other end of it, there's no urgency on defense. They're averaging 117 points allowed when they're not scoring when they should be. They only have two legitimate scorers, and one of them comes off the bench, J.J. Redick. But no hustle going back. The only one I saw last night was Simmons that actually had some urgency, had a couple blocks last night. But they just haven't been doing it well on either end of the floor.
Right. The Sixers, they're not getting back the points that they're giving up, and that's just unacceptable. At any level, that's unacceptable, I feel like Fultz should get way more time than he's getting right now. We can't have Fultz in for 10, 20 minutes and expect him to give a quick flash, Like, we need more commitment to him. He's committed to us. We need to commit to him. I feel like Embiid needs to get back in the paint, play a little bit more bully ball. That's where we probably would like him, rather than out on the three-point line. I know a lot of power forwards and centers are doing that nowadays, but I think it would be better for us to, get him inside, have them take over and take advantage of those smaller bigs. So, at the end of the day, I think it's coaching as well. Just simple coaching decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the point about Markelle Fultz, John, because, we're 5 games into the season now, and he hasn't seen more than 30 minutes of game time action in one game. And that's just concerning, not just for, his play, his stats. It's concerning for his development because we need him in these games down the stretch, late at some point in time, and that's why I'm shaky about do we trust Markelle Fultz?
If you're going to put him in as a starter, give him starter minutes. Exactly what John said. I think he averages 25 minutes per game, and he's only averaging 8.6 points per game and a couple assists because he doesn't have the ball in his hands a lot. Because when he's out there, he's usually out there with Simmons. Simmons is going to control the pace of the game, and he's just not getting the minutes to do anything with how long he's out there when he's on the floor.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard for us to talk about, we want to see Fultz, and then they give us Fultz, but then they immediately take him out and just do another rotation. So I think we do need to put more trust in Fultz, but then it also, like John said, he has a trust in us, but I feel like if you're going to start, you're expecting at least 15 points at least, and I think he's looking comfortable with his shot, and that's what I'm happy about. So at some point, I feel like those shots that are bouncing off the side of the rim, they're actually going to start going in, draining, and actually looking pretty at some point.
Now let's talk about Joel Embiid real quick because that man is one of the best basketball players I've seen in this city. He's one of the best basketball players in the league, and I think it's time for us to start putting him in the MVP talks.
I think I said before the season he should be. I think he should be one of these top 5 guys in the league that deserves recognition. He's just under 30 points in the year. He's averaging over 12 rebounds a game. He has 2.5 blocks per game. He's a force inside. He can bully inside the paint, but he also does have a three-point shot. It's struggling right now because he's still working with it, still trying to learn that stretched out center game, but I think he's a front runner for the MVP.
Yeah, I do as well. I believe Joel, he's a player, that can get his points and get his rebounds. And that's what we need, points and rebounds. And he delivers. He delivers. I feel as though he should definitely be in the talks with LeBron, Curry, and Harden as an MVP candidate. Just the other night against the Magic, he was 3 for 4 from 3. And we don't even expect that out of him, but he's doing more than what we expect,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what we need out of our MVPs. And I feel like he should be in that talk regardless. Just off the way he's performing this season and the way he performed last season.
And another stat that we haven't talked about is that he averages 2.5 blocks per game. He's starting to emerge as arguably one of, if not the best, defensive center in the league.
Yeah, there's points in the game where he breaks down a little bit because it happens to everybody. He's a player, but there's times where he capitalizes and he capitalizes. You can see that when he gets those blocks, he's not just tipping the ball; he's swatting it and showing his force on the inside. So him on the defensive end is it's actually what we need. It's weird because him doing that much on defense, it's weird to see that not. The rest of the team doesn't really foul him like that. You see, Dario is he's been struggling a little bit on defense, and it's weird to see that he sees Embiid doing this. So why isn't Dario doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope we'll fix it because it's still early. But I hope that Embiid's force, and he's probably going to be. We talk about MVP, but he could also be Defensive Player of the Year. And I actually expect both. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to happen, but I expect it.
And that's exactly it for an MVP talk. That was why I was so against Harden last year. He doesn't play defense. And for somebody that does it on both ends of the court at such a high level, I think just solely, if he doesn't get Defensive Player of the Year, he deserves MVP for a huge part of those blocks per game and just defense holding down some of the best bigs in the league.
Now, I'm glad, Dave, that you said that it's early because if you take a look at the standings right now, it's the Raptors and then whoever else is in that division. The Raptors are off to an amazing 5-0 start. That trade with Kawhi is really looking good. But if you look at the Boston Celtics, they're only 2-2. They lost to the Magic. So the Magic's couple of wins this year have come to 2. We did beat them, but they only lost to us by 1. Either way, they're playing us tough. Is the Atlantic Division starting to fall down a little bit?
I wouldn't say fall down. I would say it's in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Of course, anything early on is going to be weird. I think we're not going to see true NBA basketball until middle of November. Once Christmas comes around, that's when everyone really is all right, let's put forth our playoff effort and really show what we're made of.
Yeah.
Right. The season's just getting underway. I don't think we should take anything too seriously. And that's a Sixers fan as well. I don't think we should take anything too seriously. People are over-exaggerating about Embiid's play, about Fultz not playing.
Yep.
I mean, obviously we're fans. That's how we're going to react. But honestly, it's early.
Yeah.
And that's all we have to say. It's early.
Exactly.
We have November, then we have January. After the All-Star break, we have time.
Yeah,
Time.
absolutely. I think I didn't want to make it seem like I was overreacting, but that's just what fans do sometimes. So, we thank you guys so much for joining us for this bonus talk. We're going to hope for some improved play, not only from the Sixers, but from all around the South Philly area. And we hope you guys join us next week.